All right, so we are on week 11, and we're going to be looking at angles. So this is something you wouldn't do in algebra 1A or 1, well, maybe 1B when you get to the geometry part of it, but definitely it's more of a geometry thing. So we'll go through some different words, what they mean, and most of them have a diagram, so that way you can see what it looks like rather than me just explaining it in words. Did you sign back in for me? Thanks. All right, so the first word we're going to look at is what's called complementary. Okay, complementary. I think there's an extra I there that should not be in the word complementary. It's spelled right down below them. So complementary basically means two angles that add up to 90 degrees. Okay. When angles are 90 degrees, okay, they look kind of like an L shape, like a capital letter L. Okay, those would be two lines that meet at 90 degrees, just like that. Also like a capital letter T. Okay, that would top of the T and the line coming down, that's also 90 degrees. And that symbol is what we always put to represent a 90-degree angle. Okay, that little like square. All right, so looking at the first picture, which angle is complementary to angle 3? All right, well, first of all, what angle have they labeled in that picture as 90 degrees? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? Yeah, 1. Yeah, they've labeled angle 1 as 90 degrees. Okay, that's not the answer to the question, but I just want to make sure we know what that symbol means. All right, so now we're going to look at angle 3. That's this angle right there. Does anybody see what angle you could add to angle 3, and the two of them together would make like an L shape? Yeah.
Angle 2.
Yep, angle 2. That's the answer to the first question. That symbol right there is angle. Okay, that is not a less than sign. Okay, it's a little bit different. Okay, less than would look like that. The angle symbol looks more like that. The angle symbol is kind of, it's flat on the bottom. The less than sign is not. Okay, so it's a small difference, but it's easier to see when you type it on a computer. So angle 2. All right, now, is there any other angle that looks like it would add up to 90 with that one? No, I don't think so. No. All right, let's look at the next picture. Which angles are complementary to each other? Okay, so now they don't just want you to name a single angle, they want you to give me a pair. Okay? So does anybody see two angles that if you added them together, it looks like they would be 90 degrees. Angles, might be a couple pairs. Yep.
4 and 5.
Yep, I would say angles 4 and 5. Looks like if you put those two together, they'd be complementary. I think there's another pair in there too.
2 and 1.
Yep, angles 1 and 2. And I think that's it. 1 and 6 wouldn't be, 5 and 6 wouldn't be, 2 and 3, no. I think that's it. And so that's complementary. Two angles that add up to 90 degrees. Any questions on that? Okay. So the next one, a lot of people mix up with this, is supplementary. Supplementary is two angles that add up to 180. Matt, can you put your phone away for me? Thanks. You put it away. Thanks. So when they add up to 180, they make a straight line. That's like two L shapes back to back. That's a 90. That's a 90. That entire line right there, that is a 180-degree angle. Okay, it's perfectly flat. All right. So and it doesn't have to be a 90 and a 90. It could be an angle like that. Let's say maybe that's a 45-degree, and that's 135 degrees. Together, those two numbers add up to 180. Okay? So anything that forms a straight line is supplementary. I think there's going to be a lot of them here. Does anybody see two angles that if you added them up, it looks like they would make a straight line? Yep.
Angle 7 and 8.
Yep, 7 and 8. That's one pair. Anybody see another pair of angles? Yep.
6 and 5.
6 and 5. Yep. Let's focus down here first, and then we can do up the other part. So we got 7 and 8. We've got 6 and 5. Okay. Anybody see anything else just on the bottom?
8 and 5.
8 and 5. Yep. Angles 8 and 5. So we got 7 with 8. We got 6 with 5. We got 8 with 5. There's one more. Yep.
7 and 6.
Yep, 7 and 6. Angles 7 and 6. Okay, so those are the 4 pairs of angles at the bottom that are supplementary. Okay. Now, let's look at the top. Darwin, can you give me a pair of angles at the top that are supplementary?
3 and 4.
Which one? 3 and 4? Yep. Angle 3, 4. Isaac, can you give me another pair that are supplementary? Two and 1, yep. So we got angle 2, angle 1. Got those. Ellie, how about another pair? 4 and 1, yep. 4 and angle 1. And the last pair, Gigi?
Angle 3 and angle 2.
Perfect. So there's lots of pairs of angles in that picture that are supplementary. There's eight different pairs. Okay. So any question on how to identify angles that are supplementary? All right. So next word, vertical. So vertical angles are angles that make an X shape. Okay, angles that make an X shape. So if I had something like this, angle 1 and angle 2 are what we call vertical. They're across from each other in an X shape. Angle 3 and angle 4 are also vertical. So those are what we call vertical. Okay, they have to be across from each other in an X shape. Okay. So if you had something like, let's say it's something like that, and that was angle 1 and 2. Angles 1 and 2 are not vertical there. They're not across from each other in an X shape. Okay, they're kind of across, but it's not. That's not right. Angles 2 and 3, yes, those are across from each other. Okay. So let's look at our picture, and it says, what angle is vertical to angle 4? Yep. Yeah, angle 1. Angle 4 is across from angle 1. And I don't think they've said this yet. Vertical angles equal to each other. Yeah, they are equal to each other. Okay, I didn't mention that part. That means angle 1 and angle 4 are exactly the same size. Okay. Angles 2 and angle 3 in that picture are the same size. Angle 3 and angle 4 are the same size. Okay. Vertical angles are the same size. And they're across from each other. Okay. Any question on what vertical angles mean? Okay, next one. Adjacent. Adjacent just means that there are two angles that are next to each other. They don't have to add up to anything. Okay. So for example, if I took an angle like that, and then I took another angle like that, and I take those two angles, and I line them up. It's not perfect, but I line them up so they're right next to each other. Angles 1 and 2 are adjacent. Basically, what that means is they share a side, like that. But they don't have to add up to anything. They don't have to make a straight line. They don't have to make an X. They just have to physically be right next to each other, like that. All right. So they share a side. All right. So let's look at that picture. There's lots of adjacent angles in here, but they want an angle that is adjacent to 6. Does anyone see one? Yep. 5 is one of them. Yep. Angle 5 is definitely adjacent to angle 6. Yep.
Angle 1.
Or 1. Yep. Now, I'm not saying they're the same size. 5 and 6 are definitely not the same size. All I'm saying is that 5 and 6 are next to each other. That's it. Okay, so any question why angle 5 and angle 1 are adjacent to 6? What angle in that picture would be the same as 6?
3.
3, yep. Because 6 and 3 are what kind of angles?
Vertical.
Vertical, yep. Yep. Okay, so that's the kind of stuff you're going to have to do in some of the problems today, knowing like things are across from each other so they're the same size, stuff like that. Okay, congruent. Congruent just means that they are the same. It doesn't have anything to do necessarily with where they're placed. If I drew that, and then I drew that. Oops. Even though those two angles are nowhere near each other, they are congruent because they are exactly the same. Okay. Now, if I did something like this, if I took it and I rotated it and put it like that, they're still congruent, but now they're also vertical because of the way I positioned them. Okay, they're lined up. Here, they're still congruent, but they're not vertical anymore because they don't make an X shape. So this one says, which angle is congruent to angle 2? So what, yeah, which one?
5.
5, because what kind of angles are they?
Vertical.
Right, they're vertical. It wasn't asking if they're vertical, but they are vertical, and vertical means they're the same, which is the word for congruent. Okay, and I think angle 2 and 5, that's the only one that's the same as 2. 2 and 5. All right. Any questions on the first page? Next page, acute. Well, an acute angle is an angle that is less than 90. Okay, let me go through all of them, and then we can do these all at the same time. A right angle is an angle that is exactly 90. An obtuse angle is an angle that's a little bit bigger than 90. And a straight angle is an angle that makes a straight line. It's 180 degrees. So those are the 4 different terms that we're going to use to describe angles. Acute, right, obtuse, straight angle. So let's look at that first one. What kind of angle would that be out of the 4? Yeah, that's acute. Yep. It's acute because it is smaller than 90. How about the one that's kind of the turquoise greenish color? Yeah, right. That's a right angle. It's a right angle because it's exactly 90, and that little square tells us that. Okay. How about that one that's that brownish color? What kind of angle is that one? That one's obtuse. How come it's obtuse?
Because it's over 90 degrees.
Yeah, because it's more than 90 degrees. And how about the blue one?
Straight.
That's a straight angle because it makes a perfectly straight line. Okay, that one's easy to remember. Straight line, straight angle. Straight angle. All right. Any question on those 4 terms? All right. So now we're going to look at using a protractor to measure an angle. Okay. When they give you a picture and they put an angle on it, a protractor has 2 different scales on it. The reason it has 2 different scales is because it depends on which side which way the bottom is pointing. Is the bottom over here, or is the bottom over there? Which one of those 2 angles are you measuring? That's why there's 2 different scales. So in this case, which scale would we be using? The top scale or the bottom scale? Yeah, we're using the top scale Okay, one way that we know to use the top scale is this angle bigger or smaller than 90?
It's bigger.
Yeah, it's definitely bigger. If you use the bottom scale, it says 70. No, 70 would be the one over here. We want the one over there. So looking at the protractor, about how big is that angle?
110.
120, that would be more like over there.
I'm just at that.
Yeah, I would say it looks like it's
I'll just look at
right at 110. Looks like it's, I think it's exactly on 110. And when you label it, make sure you put that little circle on it. That means degrees. Degrees is not the only way to measure an angle. In trig, we use something called radians. They both. In this class, we're going to stick with degrees. All right. Also, is that acute, right, obtuse, or straight? Yep, that's obtuse. Okay, let's look at this one. This time, are you using the top scale or the bottom scale?
bottom scale.
Yeah, you're using the bottom scale because it goes to the right. That angle is smaller than 90. If you use the top scale, you'd be like around 105 or something. That angle's not that big. Okay. How big does it look like that angle is?
85.
So 85 would probably be more like right there.
75.
Yeah, that one's 75. Okay, so it's not 70, it's not 80, it's right in between. So I would say 75. Acute, right, obtuse, or straight?
Acute.
That's acute. Yep, it's acute angle. All right, and the last page. So the last page is about a specific shape, which when we do trig, we study that shape a lot, a triangle. So the diagram shows some different angles labeled. I know they're a little small, but hopefully you can see them better on your handout. And one thing that we know is when you add all the angles in a triangle together, they all add up to 180 degrees. Okay, we're not going to prove that, but if you take geometry, you might prove it there. So what that means is in a triangle, you can always do this. In each box, you write down an angle. It doesn't matter which angle goes in which box. Okay? You just fill in each box with one of the three angles. Okay? So what could I put in the first box?
80.
Sure, you could put 80. Second box?
44.
44. And the third box?
124. 56.
I got to put something that's up here. These are the three things you're allowed to pick.
2A.
Yep, 2A. Okay, so now you've filled in everything, and now it says what is A. Right, so what that means is we're going to combine like terms and solve for A. What's 80 plus 44 give me?
124.
Okay, so that's 124 plus 2A equals 180. What would be my next step if I was trying to get A by itself?
Subtract
Subtract what?
the 2. Or the A.
No, we wouldn't do any subtracting with the 2 or the A yet.
124.
Yep.
Subtract 124 from 180.
Yes. Subtract 124 from both sides. Okay, so that's gone. And when we subtract 124 from 180, that's going to give me how much? 56. Okay, and now I'm at my last step. How do we get A by itself?
Divide by 2.
Yep, you can divide each side by 2. So that means A is how much? Yeah.
28.
Yep, A is 28. And that's what they wanted to know. So A is 28. Now, they didn't ask this part, but if A is 28, how big would that angle be? That angle would be 56, yep. because this angle is double what A is, and we know A is 28. So that's how you solve a triangle problem when you have numbers and letters for the angles. They're going to ask you to figure out the letter. Just set up the equation like that. In the 3 boxes, put each of your angles, and then put equals 180. So let's try that on the next one. All right. So again, set up your boxes just like that. Okay. What's going to go in the first box? Sure, you put 33. That's fine. Okay. Second box. 2p. Yep. And how about the third box?
P minus 6 degrees.
P minus 6. Okay. So now we're going to combine everything together and see what we get. Okay. Are there any like terms we can combine together there? Yeah. Yep. We've got a 2p plus a 1p. What's 2p plus 1p?
2p.
You want to help her out? What's 2p plus 1p? Yep.
3p.
3p. Yep. Okay, so we got that. Are there any other like terms that I can combine together on the left side? How about Matt? What do you think? Any other like terms we can combine together?
33 and negative 6.
Yeah, we can do 33 and negative 6. And what do you get if you combine 33 and negative 6?
27.
27. Okay, so I combined what I could on the left. What's still on the right side? Oh, Soleil, what's still on the right side?
P.
No, all our P's are going to be on the left
180
side.
on the other side, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we got all the letters on the left, we got the 180 on the right. Okay, what would be my next step now to get P by itself? Yep, good. I'm going to minus the 27. So that's gone. And what's 180 minus 27? Oh, great, you know?
Oh, it's 153.
Yep, good, 153. All right, so that's 3p, but the directions say solve for 1p, not 3p. So how am I going to get rid of that 3 on the left side? Landon, how am I going to get rid of it?
Divide.
Yep, what are you going to divide by?
3.
Divide by 3? Just 3.
Oh, okay.
Yep, just dividing by 3 because we're just trying to get rid of the 3. So now we've got p by itself. And what's 153 divided by 3? 51. Yep. Perfect. So p is 51. Now, when you do the IXL, pay attention to what they're asking you. In this case, if they said solve for p, and you put 51, that is correct. If they said solve for this angle, how much would that angle be? How much? 153? No, 153 is 3p. This is 2p. If it said 3p, that would be right. 100 and what?
2.
Yeah, so if they ask how big is this angle, that angle is 102 degrees. You do need the degree symbol on that. You don't need the degree symbol on 51 because P is not an angle. It's just a letter that's part of the angle. Okay. I don't know if it's going to mark it right or wrong because of a degree symbol, but it seems like something that they might do, so I just be careful. All right. And that's how you solve for a letter in adjournment. Any questions on that? So that's the guided notes. Overall, I think this week's probably a little bit easier than some of the other material we've done. We got some harder weeks still coming up, but I think this week is more straightforward.